Okay, so hi everybody. Welcome to Professional Networking Now, where we are building lasting relationships. And my button's not working again. Okay, so PNN etiquette. We ask that everybody be kind. We know everybody is busy, but please try to stay engaged. If you decide you need to step away, please turn off your camera. Keep yourself muted unless you are speaking. And just a reminder, as you heard, this meeting is being recorded. So just keep in mind about that. And I do post it up on our Professional Networking Now page and group now. So after this, we'll go into 60-second introductions, what you do, and remember to say what a good referral is for you. Try to think of, like, every week, try and think of something new that would be a good referral. And then also try and remember to put your info in the chat. So today for a presentation, we have Dr. Wanda Jeanty. Do I say that right, Wanda? Yes, okay. I practiced a couple times. She's from Not Another Diet Wanda, and today she's going to be discussing the 5 myths surrounding mental health. I'm very excited about that. And then we're going to go into a 10-minute breakout room. Most likely, with seeing how many people we have today, we'll keep it just us and not break it into smaller groups. But we're going to be talking for about 10 minutes, which I'm not surprised Joanne picked this because she is driving back from vacation right now. Her question being, when you go on vacation, who takes care of your business? So good question and good thing to think about. And then we will go into 15-minute helpful hints where Maurice Loucks, I always mangle your name, man. I'm sorry. Loucks. He will be talking about helpful hints for business solutions. And then that's when we're going to turn off the recording so we can have a little bit more free conversation. That's why we call it free for all. And this is be a good time for us to kind of talk about, you know, if anybody has anything that is pressing to them, they want advice, we want to do some brainstorming. If there's other creative discussions, we can get into that. And that should be an encouragement for people that are watch the recording, that they should come and join and be involved in this part, because this is one of the best parts of, well, the speakers and everything is great. This is also a really good opportunity for everybody to be able to have a discussion and really get into things that might be pressing for them and maybe they're having a hard time with. So that's when I'm gonna stop sharing, if the button would stop going around the screen. So I'm gonna make you guys bigger. Now we'll go into our introductions. Just bring up my little screen over here. So we'll go around the screen and I'm going to go counterclockwise this time. I'm always going clockwise. So Richard, you're always last. This time you're first. What's up?
Okay. All right. How you doing? Rich Lupino. I am President and CEO of Infinia Development. We are a full stack web development agency, and we help businesses with their online presence, whether that's a website to get people to see them and engage with them, or being found so people can actually go to that website and they could drive their traffic, which in turn drives their customer base. A good referral for me is if anyone knows somebody in Tri-County Plumbing and Heating in LaGrangeville, they'd be a good person for me to talk to, or a good company for me to talk to.
Awesome. Okay. Dr. Wanda, I know you're going to be presenting, but this is a good opportunity to kind of give a little intro to.
Thank you, Megan. Good morning, everyone. My name is Dr. Wanda Jeanty, aka Dr. Wanda. I am a physician turned public health educator and the owner of Not Another Diet Wanda, which is a health and wellness educational and training service. I actually help women with digestive and mental health challenges who struggle to improve their lifestyle. And I usually, not usually, but I do use an approach that is not unique and it's not uncommon. It's an integrative approach that actually looks at the whole person. So we're not looking at diet per se. I don't put anybody on a diet because diets, first of all, do not work. And you can live a healthy lifestyle if you know some basic nutrition fundamentals, so to speak. But I also have 3 buckets of passion, definitely nutrition education, the mental health. I'm a mental health warrior, and I also do health coaching with groups, but also I present and offer webinars on anything that deals with health, nutrition, and mental. And I also have I also do corporate wellness programs. So a good referral for me. I know I always say event coordinators, but certainly an HR person, human resource person would also be a good referral for me because they are sometimes, many times the decision maker for corporate wellness programs. Thank you.
No, thank you. And Maurice, good timing.
Hi, good morning. Maurice Loucks, New York Life, registered representative. I help with retirement planning, long-term care planning, financial needs analysis, life insurance needs, things like that. Good referral for me would be young families, business owners, or even new homeowners. So that's the gist of it.
Okay, awesome. Nicholas, are you here?
I'm here, Megan. How you doing?
Good, how are you? Do you want to do
Since you know I work in a law enforcement capacity, I can't turn my camera on at this point.
That's fine.
I hope everyone is doing well. But on your question about what is a good referral, especially when it comes to sales, and I'm going back to when I did sales some time ago, I think the best referral is when people see your ad on television or listen to your ad on the radio. That's a pre-screened lead. So let's say if someone works for an insurance and you're driving along and you're hearing an ad for Allstate or State Farm or Progressive or Geico, let's say, at least the person who is working for either one of those companies has a 50-50 shot of selling that person. Because you would figure if a person comes to your office and has heard the ad, at least they've shown that they have an interest in hearing what you have to say. So I'm big into advertising and promotion that way because at least it gives you that pre-screen lead that makes it a little bit easier to market and offer your services to the customer.
Awesome. Good insight. Thank you. And Samantha.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, you know me. I'm Sam. I have my 2 businesses. I'm a freelance travel agent that handles all U.S. travel essentially, and I sell paparazzi jewelry. And a good referral for me, and I'll keep repeating in case it jogs someone's memory. In-person vendor event coordinator would be amazing if someone knows anyone, especially in the Orange, Dutchess, or even Ulster County. Yeah. Happy Friday, everyone.
Yeah. Awesome. So that leaves me. I am Megan Romero. I am the co-founder with Joanne Zagari of Professional Networking Now. this wonderful little organization. We're working to help business owners and professionals to get a good relationship and, make connections beyond the professional. So you're comfortable to refer to each other. But then also education wise too. It's not great to hoard your information. We want to try and have a great environment where we can share information and all benefit from it. But then also my day job is Phoenix Variable. I am the owner of Phoenix Variable, that I do bookkeeping and financial consulting. I also am a licensed life insurance agent in New York and South Carolina. I can also do financial needs analysis. I'll work on that. I'll find the right word for it, the right plural. But I help a lot of people with the debt side of their life to make sure that they're getting into the right financial situation. We want to have people constantly thinking about their short-term, midterm, and long-term goals and help them achieve it. So that I do that between my bookkeeping and with the life insurance side of things. That's kind of, they go nicely hand in hand. And then for funsies, I do jewelry. I do paparazzi with Samantha and Joanne. We have a lot of fun. I go live every Wednesday and Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I would love to see you guys there. Guys, I do have men's jewelry. Just saying. Not a lot right now, but I'm working on it. Every chance I get, I try and get some. Including I have 2 nice big boxes of awesome jewelry that just came the other day, which will be coming out on Sundays live. So I hope to see some of your faces there. Well, not see your faces, but see your names. But I will stop blabbering on. A good referral for me would be individuals who are either wanting to start a business or have just started a business, that I encourage people to try and connect with a bookkeeper, even if it's not me, a bookkeeper who knows what they're doing and can have people going in the correct direction right from the start, because it's a mess when they don't. So that's me. And I wish Joanne was here. She could tell her intro, but I'll leave that to her. If she does pop in, we'll have her do a quick intro for herself. So that leads us into our first session of 15 minutes, which goes to Dr. Wanda Jeanty to talk about the 5 myths surrounding mental health. This is very near and dear to my heart. So, I will ask you to unmute.
Thank you, Megan. And I am going to, I don't have a PowerPoint presentation per se, but I have 5 statements that I am going to actually copy and paste in the chat. Now, just because it says the presentation says the 5 myths of mental health you will not know whether they are myths or not. So I'm going to put 5 statements. You're going to let me know which one is true and which one is false. So I'm going to do that right now. Hold on just a second. I'm going to copy that from here. Here we go. All right, so let's go right here. So let me just put that there. So I'm going to actually, let's look at number 1. Right, true or false, T or F for number 1. Mental health is separate from physical health. What do you think about that statement?
False.
Okay, so I see a lot of S. Okay, so yes, that is false. Okay, mental health is part of your physical health. They go hand in hand, believe it or not. If you have dark thoughts, your mood is up and down, it does affect your physical health, especially in the area of digestion. But it's not just digestion, it could be just like it says, physical. You could have a headache and you're wondering, well, why do I have a headache? Or even a back pain. There are so many physical expressions of anything that's mental. So keep that in mind. So I'm glad that many of you knew about that. Let's look at number 2 right now. The most common mental health challenge is depression. What do you think about that? The most common mental health challenge is depression. So Richard said true, Samantha said true, true, and Maurice said F. So some of you are on the ball here. Yes, the most common mental health challenge is depression. Actually, according to the World Health Organization, it is actually the #1 epidemic globally, which is depression. Now, I'm not talking about a sadness momentarily. We all have those moments, but we are talking about depression that impacts your daily routine, your daily life. And usually there are a set of symptoms that go along with that. I'm not going to go through all of a depression speech here, but certainly I'm sure you can differentiate between sadness and depression. Depression, any signs and symptoms that you would see on a person, for example, excessive sleeping, sometimes not eating or eating too much, could be those symptoms, those red flags that we all should be attuned to, but they have to last more than 3 weeks in order to diagnose a person with depression. And remember, depression falls within a spectrum of depression. Not everybody experiences the same type of depression, but they do have those same red flags. Okay. Let's look at number 3. Number 3, people with mental health challenges are violent. People with mental health challenges are violent. So many of you have said false. Correct. There is a myth, actually, where people think that anybody who is not quite, quote unquote, normal, or they have these different thoughts, are going to incite violence or hurt someone. Actually, only 4% of people with mental health challenges are violent. They actually are the victims of violence more often than not. I would hate to ever even think that somebody would hurt my sister. I have a sister who lives with 2 mental health challenges, and she couldn't hurt a fly. And so that's a myth that goes on simply because of the media, the movies that we've seen. And if I can recommend 2 movies, or if you've seen them already, there's one, The Joker with Joaquin Phoenix, is an absolute psychoanalysis of mental health in every aspect of it, from how society views it to how society treats people with mental health challenges. Great movie. And then the other one with Mark Ruffalo in it, I Know This Much Is True. That's another one. And actually, when I did mental health training on Wednesday, somebody from the group told me about another one. I think it was somebody who experiences and goes through the journey of their mental health. I think it's, I wrote it down, Words on the Bathroom Wall, it's called. But it's on Netflix, they do tell me, and it's an excellent movie. So again, just from an educational standpoint to watch these movies. Yes.
Also, Silver Lining Playbook. Is it? I think that's how you say it. Silver Lining Playbook. I think that's
Okay.
a good one too.
Oh, that's another one that I have to put them on my list. Thank you.
It's really good.
Thank you. So we got to number 3. Number 4, PTSD occurs only in soldiers after they return from a tour of duty. True or false? Oops, let's see here. Let's see. I think. Megan says very false. Yes. I mean, if you were to ask people about PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, I know that everybody knows that acronym. A lot of people, if you do word association, they think of soldiers. They think of soldiers coming back, or veterans who have survived the war. But interestingly enough, PTSD can affect anybody. And actually, well, I'm not going to, because it's on another question, but a lot of people experience some type of PTSD in their lifetime. Okay, so it's not just about soldiers, veterans, homeless people. No, it can be Joe Schmo down the street. It could be Jane Doe across the street. You don't know what people go through. And that's why, you see more and more people saying, be kind, because you don't know what people go through. Okay, so that definitely is false. So on the ball right there. And the last one. More than 50% of people experience a traumatic event before developing a mental health challenge. True or false? Yes, I see Megan. So I see some truths, I see some false. I see Nicholas said false, Megan said true. Megan is just ambivalent at this point. So on this one, actually, believe it or not, and this is a statistic that I really did not know. So I have to be very transparent. I actually learned that from a training. It is true. 60% of adults have gone through a traumatic event before developing a mental health challenge. Now, I know right now but that's discovered when you dive deep into somebody's life. See, this is why a therapist is important, because sometimes we just say, no, what are you talking about? I don't know that nothing happened, blah, blah, blah. Because believe it or not, we are masters at suppressing and repressing. And so therefore, we don't know many times that, oh, way back when you were 10 years old, something happened that you suppressed. and then it carries on into your adult life, and you wonder now why you are irritable, why you have that. Now, some people would say, oh, this is just another excuse. No, these are facts. This is actually been studied, that there's absolutely a traumatic event that explains many times, somebody being depressed, somebody being schizophrenic. As much, I mean, I'm gonna share something. I mean, you could be your siblings, right? You could say, but we all live in the same household, but you don't know how a person receives or experiences a change in their life. See, when I look back, I mean, we did travel. I mean, I lived in Canada, then I lived in Africa. But like for me, these were positive experiences. But when I look back, it could have affected my sister in ways that I knew nothing about. You see? So again, it's important to realize that there is the root cause of everything that we experience. So that is, in a nutshell, the 5 statements that I wanted to make about mental health. Thank you.
Threw me off by not, I was just about to message you like you're about 3 minutes. So why don't we take the 3 minutes, and if anybody has any questions for Dr. Wanda, then this is a really good opportunity. No? Well, I'll share like that. I actually suffer from PTSD. And when I saw that question asking about veterans, I was like, oh, thank you for dispelling that myth. Because I cannot tell you. So I've had it for about 20 years, over 20 years now. And I have very severe PTSD. And immediately, whenever I would say anything to anybody about like, oh, I have PTSD, for the longest time, it would be, oh, so when did you serve? What branch of the military? It wasn't. And then it would be that whole conversation. I would dread it. So for a long time, I wouldn't share that I have PTSD. But I think it is, thankfully, with people like Dr. Wanda and other people in the field that are trying to get that knowledge out there. I think it's becoming more, people are becoming more aware that PTSD is not just for soldiers. I think soldiers probably get the worst of it sometimes. But there are people who really go through horrible traumatic experiences. But then even I know people who have gotten into a bad car accident and they've gotten PTSD from it too. It really depends on the situation that you're in. Probably those 2 guys, or the 2 guys in the helicopter, if they survive this, they'll probably have PTSD from that. It's scary stuff. And I don't think people recognize often enough that traumatic experiences can change your brain chemistry. And that's really what I believe is, like, something happens to you, it triggers that fight or flight. And sometimes how I've always explained it to people is like when you have PTSD, it's like somebody flipped that fight or flight switch and it's stuck on. So that's the best way to explain it to anybody. But oh, Nicholas is asking, when do you see mental health issues come up in adults?
Yes, so that's a great question, Nicholas. The average age for that is actually 11. It's between 10 years old and 16. And many a times, unfortunately, there are adults do not know that they are carrying that on. You see, but when the diagnosis is made, they have lived with it for all that time. It's, many a times the red flags are not seen, or if you are from a different culture, it is they don't even know it's a taboo subject.
Yep.
It's a curse that is put upon you or anything like that. So when do you see mental health issues come up in adult? It is at the age between 10 and 16. Average is 11 years old. Sometimes it can appear in adults later on in their years. For example, the actress Linda Hamilton, she was diagnosed with bipolar at the age of 40.
Mm.
So, but she recognized that she was irritable for a long time, that she would snap for no reason for years, and she had really from her perspective, an awful relationship with James Cameron, the director of Avatar and Titanic. So hopefully I answered your question, Nicholas.
Awesome. Anybody else? We're good. Okay. So I think that'll we'll lead into, I kind of think it's a good leeway because like we talk about mental health, and then our breakout room subject is when you go on vacation, which is good for your mental health, who's taking care of your business? So I figure there's 6 of us, we'll stay right here. We can kind of have that conversation. So any of you guys want to jump in?
Oh, you guys have someone take care of your business while you're on vacation?
I know, right?
Yeah, really.
No.
No.
Wait, please tell me your secret.
Employees? I don't know.
No, actually, I don't.
Yeah.
If you make them away, it really isn't. The world's not going to end with somebody's website not getting finished.
Well, I would hope that like with doing a website, you could like you figure all that out. Like, okay, I'm going on vacation in 2 weeks. So let me get to a place, either I get it done or I get to a place that things are good.
Right. Right. And usually I tell them, there's going to be a week break, and that extra week isn't going to make or break anything,
Yeah. I think that's something that's a goal for me. I think the last time I took a vacation was like, I can't even remember. Like a real vacation. I think I took a long weekend in like the first year or 2, and that I started my business. So like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. But that's because I didn't have as many clients then, and I was able to say, I gave them a lot of lead time going in. I said, make sure you get anything, and I still got texts while I was on vacation, and I was like, guess what? I purposely went to an island that had no electricity, so I was like, sorry, it's gonna have to wait until I get back. So, but I think
And there's nothing wrong with
that's a
that.
goal. That's a goal, though.
And I have my cell phone on me when I'm on vacation. Not that I answer every text I get, but because I mean, the worst thing would happen is, their site goes down, and not that I could handle that anyway, but at least I could sit there and send a message off saying, hey, it's being looked at, I'm sure.
I mean, it's probably a good idea to have somebody that can field stuff for you. So, I mean, like Maurice, if you have somebody that you trust in your office, that you could say, hey, I'm going on vacation. Can I forward my emails to you? Or can I have you, answer any questions somebody might have, just like on a surface level, but like the important stuff, wait until later. And then like kind of the same goes with a lot of our businesses. Maybe if there's somebody we trust in the business that we know will poach our business, that can just answer some basic questions for people, maybe not even having to like do anything, but just answer questions if they arise. That might be a nice thing to contemplate. make it a little bit more of a relaxing vacation. I think it's a goal for everybody probably, is to have that where maybe we can have somebody that can handle that stuff, right?
Now, I have a comment. What if you have, that business owner who loves what they do? Because let's say that you are a public speaker and you were just contracted to go, I don't know, to Atlantic City and to give a talk. So right there, guess what? Now, your
It's like
talk
a
could be
vacation.
your talk could be an hour. Your talk probably is an hour. It's not the whole day. You got the different speakers, but then you have time then to look at the sites and to go on the boardwalk and blah blah blah. So I think sometimes there are people
Casinos.
who view their business as an opportunity to travel, because really it's an hour of their time. Because can you imagine if I get a gig and it's in Paris, France? My bags are packed. I'm going tomorrow. Hello? Are you kidding
Have
me?
fun.
Seriously? Yes. And that's one of my goals, definitely, to speak globally, to go to other countries and speak.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. Well, see, but that's the difference, is like it's like they're paying you to go on vacation. So it's
There
like
you
a whole
go.
nother level to it, because you go in and you speak for that hour, but then you have the rest of the time to yourself. So, but I mean, that's where maybe like having an assistant who can deal with all that
Right.
nitpicky, annoying stuff while you're there, so you can enjoy the time and just then go and speak. And
That is
then,
it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
virtual assistant.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
virtual assistant or an in-person assistant who's that's their, like, they're dealing with things at the venue. They're dealing, like, they're like, instead of people talking to you to set things up when you go to a conference or, a speaking engagement, they do all that nitpicky stuff that you then don't need to worry about. You can just go enjoy yourself, go in and speak, and then leave and enjoy yourself more. But I know in the future, Miss Sam will be having some fun experiences that's going to be work and play all mixed into one, because once she's making a name for herself, she's going to be having companies like Sandals and all these other places come and stay and experience, so that you can tell how awesome we are, because we know people that do that in travel agencies. So.
Love those travel agent perks. Like right before the pandemic, I was on a business/pleasure trip to Washington, D.C. So
See, there you go.
If your luggage feels 200 pounds heavier, just ignore it.
sounds good.
Yeah, I just brought on somebody as a downline to me in life insurance, but she's like, oh, I'm going to Jamaica for 2 weeks. And my friend Carrie, who's my upline, we were like, so do you have a spare suitcase? About the size of 2 small women. Like, Carrie and I are like, we like each other enough. We'll be okay smushed in there. But can we come with you? She's like, I think I do. I was like, don't joke with us. We will be there. We'll drive down to the Bronx and hop into that little suitcase and be right out there. But yeah, might think about your friends when they're saying, oh, you could bring a +1.
Yeah, too bad. I just signed up for my company. My traveling company is doing. They rented out a whole cruise ship from Carnival, and I only had to pay $600 for my room, and that includes food and drink. And I had an ability to do a +1, but I was like, no one's gonna want to go with me. So I roomed with another agent.
Oh, I beg to differ. There's a lot of people that would probably be like, Yes, please.
Take
Next
me,
time. I
take me.
promise next time, but it was before these meetings, so.
No, it's okay.
We love you still.
Yes. That's awesome. See, there's a lot of ways around the whole vacation thing. I think that we too often just go, oh, I can't do a vacation. It's just not, I don't have
Oh,
it.
you have to.
You have to think. Just talking about mental health, I've learned very much with having PTSD, and I have agoraphobia. I've learned the really important factor of self-care. And that means, taking a staycation or a vacation, taking a long weekend. Sometimes it's very hard. It's becoming harder and harder for me. But that's when I start thinking to myself, well, maybe I need to start hiring somebody else. And that's why I hired on an employee. And then that's why I'm now thinking, like, maybe I need to hire somebody who'd be more hours, like during the day, like a stay-at-home mom who's looking for a couple hours a day, but is more knowledgeable of bookkeeping and that can, take on a lot more, maybe take on an actual account or two themselves. So that's stuff that, like, I think a lot of us, we get a little nervous, like, oh, hiring employees. It's like, when I started my business, I was like, no, I don't want employees. I don't want that responsibility. But then I was just saying before a couple of you guys came in, then I took a couple college classes, and I happened to take like I guess it was kind of like a HR type of a class, like a human resources kind of thing. And they were we took tons of like personality tests and, leadership tests, and it was showing that I'd be a good boss because I had like that caring, like I don't want to put too much on somebody, but yet that strong line in the sand of, still being really professional and not letting it get too personal and too caring. So that opened the door in my mind, and I was like, I could possibly give somebody else that great
Take away.
opportunity to work from home that I was able to carve out for myself without having to worry about like overhead, Could just do their work and, because they're the worker bees and owner bees and or queen bees. So it's something to consider. There's a lot of us just kind of, we want to just go along on our way and, do our thing. But sometimes when business gets big enough, it calls for us to kind of say, well, I either need to start turning away business, which is money out of my pocket, or I hire somebody and it'll be a little bit of money out, but I'll still be making more money. I started thinking about it like, I could be sitting on my couch. Like my employee right now, she works a couple nights a week. And I could be sitting on my couch watching Downton Abbey and I'm making money because she's working. I think we could all like that, right? So, but anyway, I think that kind of concludes our breakout room unless anybody has more that they have to say about the subject of vacations. Nope. Okay. So Maurice, time to wing it, man.
I'm doing it. I know we came up with the business solution aspect, but I was fumbling through my computer earlier, and I found something else that might be kind of beneficial to maybe business too. But
Go
I don't
for it.
know. You guys, anyone besides Megan have employees or anything like that?
No.
All right, so this one might be more beneficial to everyone. Who has heard of the 3 financial buckets? Anyone besides Megan? three financial buckets. One is the taxable now, one is the bucket of tax deferred, and the other bucket is tax free or tax never. Now, the taxable now is obviously your paychecks, your savings account, your money market account, CDs, stocks, bonds, mutual funds, things like that. Tax deferred are your 401ks, your IRAs, 403bs, and your annuities. Now, the great thing is the tax free or tax never are your Roth accounts, 401k or Roth IRAs, and your life insurance. You can actually build cash value on the inside of your life insurance that is not taxed. And some people use those to supplement retirements. Use it for, depending on the cash equivalent that's inside the policy. You could use it for a down payment on a car, fund your kids' college, things like that. So sometimes as business owners, we, especially being W-2 employees, we always focused on the tax now. We never, no one's ever sat me down before I changed careers and explained the difference between each, the three of them. So the good thing, what I like to do with most of my clients or people I talk to is, what percentage of is your three buckets balanced? Now, are you 80% in the tax now, where you're paying all your taxes now? Do you have some deferred? Are you set up is it equally balanced? And that's pretty much the whole concept of my talk today. So I don't know if you guys have any questions. I'm more of a question and answer, not too much of a So if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask. I know it's a mind-blowing presentation. Am I muted? No questions?
Anybody have any thoughts on, oh, go ahead, Wanda.
Actually, I have one, Maurice. I know that, and then correct me if I'm wrong, I know that there are ways where you can put money where it grows for you and it can be used as an emergency fund, and then you don't necessarily have to pay taxes on it. I don't know what you would call that.
Well, you can do that in a life insurance policy.
Yes.
You can, because cash value, or a whole life policy, cash value life, life insurance. You could build there's people that build a substantial amount, and that's how a lot of people pass down generational wealth. They'll start, I think the Rockefellers were good for it. When a child is born into the family, they will put cash value life insurance on that child, because I've seen it to where, say we do what they call a custom policy, which is you pay for it for 20 years. After 20 years, you stop paying on it, but it still builds that cash value on the inside. So by the time that child, when the child, say 2, by the time the child is in their 40s or 50s, depending on the policy, you could have anywhere from $400,000 to $500,000 inside the policy, building tax-free.
Okay.
So that's one of the many benefits of cash value life insurance. Also, people do that as, say, an executive bonus. If you have key employees, instead of giving them the cash directly, you could give that to them in a life insurance policy, have it on them, and then it builds. So when they retire in 20 years, you give them the policy, and that's kind of like a going away present.
Got it. And here's another question. I'm not sure if it pertains to what your topic on helpful hints was, but I always wanted to know this. When you're an employee and then they offer you, as part of your paperwork package, a life insurance.
Yes.
And I always have heard that life insurance from work is, I think, a term one.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
You can actually, you can offer a group term, or say if I go in, that is very possible. They are term, but they also offer depending on the size of the company, you can offer what they call employee whole life. It's actually the group term that costs the employer pays for that. Like some company, you might have to pay a little bit, but the employee whole life, the employee actually pays for it's offered through the company. The employee pays for it out of their paycheck, but they either have the simplified issue, which is very limited underwriting up to a certain amount, or depending on the size of the company, you can actually get a guaranteed issue, which means no blood, nothing. But you have to offer the guaranteed issue. You have to offer to all your employees. Like you can't just pick and choose.
And
Oh, thank you.
the only bad part about that I ever see is that when you're no longer with that company, 99% of the time, correct me if I'm wrong, when you leave the company, whether it's your choice or not, usually the policy goes away, like because you're no longer a part of the business. That's
Now,
my experience.
you can actually now, if you get a hold, if the person wants to, some people just they just let it go. But you could switch it to where instead of it coming out of your paycheck, you could switch everything over to where you can keep the policy and it'll come out of your bank account.
Yeah, that's rare though. Usually I don't see that with employers. I see, just from my experience, like I don't ever really usually see employers offer whole life. They usually offer just the term because they figure you're going to be working for me for 20 years. That's like, there you go. Like it's the length of the time that you work for me. And usually they're not very big. So I know personally when I go in and talk to somebody and they say, oh, I have life insurance with with the company I work with. What is it? And then like, do you know if it goes away if you don't work there anymore? Because people, and then like, how big is it? A lot of times from my experience, maybe it'll be only about $25,000 or even $100,000, but that's not a lot in comparison to like what your family would need if something happened to you. That shouldn't be relied on as your sole life insurance policy. Sorry.
No, it's
That's the problem with having two life insurance agents. Right?
it's fine. I always love someone else's perspective, and it's not a big deal. Everyone sees the world differently, and everyone handles things differently. So it's always great to see more than one point of view.
Mhm.
But as far as, and you're right, sometimes the group term, once the employee leaves, it drops, and they don't have to worry about it
A
anymore.
lot of that. Yeah, we saw a lot of that with once COVID hit and people were losing their jobs or leaving their jobs. They didn't realize, and then they were like, "Wait, what?" And then there was this sudden influx of, "I need a life insurance policy. My life insurance policy is gone." So,
Well, and you're right, and that's like I'll talk to someone like, oh, what kind of insurance you have through your job? Oh, we have this. I was like, you probably pay pennies on the dollar. I think it's like $5 a month, and they're covered for 50,000. Like, all right, well, there's only one problem with that. If anything happens to you and you quit or leave, you lose that.
yeah.
Right.
And then you have to like if you get it on your own, it's better to get it when you're healthy and young than later when maybe you've lost your job and now you're stressed out and maybe now your blood pressure is high.
But
So,
but the other good thing, skipping around to another subject, the other good thing, especially with say life insurance itself, is if you have two business owners, you can actually have what they call a buy-sell,
yes.
which is, say Wanda and Rich, say you guys owned a business together. Wanda, you'd own the policy on Richard, and Richard would own the policy on you. So God forbid either of you anything happen to either of you, you guys have something to either you could train another employee to kind of fill that void, or say if there's now the spouse comes in and you guys aren't clicking with that other one's spouse, you can buy them out of their shares.
Mhm. Which that's actually a really good thing for people. And even if it's not partners, but like if you have a big enough company, like I say to some of my owners of my clients, that if you have a couple employees and you're the main person, you should really consider getting a policy that's like attached to your business, so that if something happens to you, your beneficiaries of like your husband, your wife, your kids, there's a backup there. There's money attached to your company to, bring somebody in who can run your company for you, for your beneficiaries. That's something to consider. And, there's a lot, or even just to help them get through liquidating your company.
Or if you have a in the same aspect, if you have a top employee, one of your top producers, you can have something on them, like a key person, a life insurance policy that, God forbid anything happened to them, you'd own the policy. Obviously, the business would be the beneficiary, but you wouldn't have to worry about, trying to find funds to train someone else. You'd have it there and you kind of pick up where they left off, type of deal. If that makes sense.
I have a quick question, and it mostly applies to me, but how early should you start with like life insurance, especially since I don't technically would have anyone to be a beneficiary? Like, I'm not planning on having kids. I'll be 23 next month. I don't have one right now, I'll be honest. Like, is it something I should start now, or?
You know what, to be honest with you, I mean, you don't really have and I get people leave it to their family, their mothers, but say you have an organization that you're close to, that it's something near and dear to your heart, you can leave it to them. You can leave it to the organization.
Okay.
It doesn't necessarily have to be a family member. Like, there's people that have left their dogs all their money. Like,
Yeah.
there's people that leave it to churches or a community, program. That's something that, because there's a lot of people that, I've heard it before. Not only that I'm not having kids, but my kids don't need it. I'll leave it to someone else, or my wife don't need it. I'll leave it to my mistress. And people do it. But yeah, I mean, start off whenever you feel you're ready to sit down and talk to an agent, and the sooner the better, because you don't want to wait till you're 40, 45, and all of a sudden, you have health issues.
Yeah. It's cheaper, it's really cheap. I even say like 18-year-olds, even if they're in college, like parents should consider like helping them out with getting a life insurance policy early. Just like in the idea of like, even if you get the smallest life insurance policy that they offer, and it's just in case, or like if you're going to college, you're going to have student loan debts, and there's debts. You got to think about any debt that you have, and then I hate saying these things, but burial costs. Like, what will your family need to make it all good after you become an angel? So I always say, like, try as early, like I tell people, get it as early as you can and get a nice long policy. I do term. I tend to do term, but then like Maurice does whole life and stuff.
No. I listen. Yeah. Everything has its place. Like, because I do term myself, but our term is convertible to whole life in the future.
Yeah.
And
ours is at the end.
And there is certain companies, say, you said you were 23.
Yeah.
You can actually lock in your insurability for the next 10 to 20 years.
Yeah.
So, say at 43, even if you have a 42 and you're still locked in and you have a health crisis, they're still looking back at your rating of when you were 23.
Yep.
So if you get like a preferred or select preferred, a great rating, you're still locked in for that 15 to 20 years, depending on, as long as the policy is structured correctly.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as clients, like my youngest client, now is probably 11 months old.
Mm-hmm.
But that's for the purpose of, and I don't use that for the death benefit. I use clients that young, when I talk to their parents, it's about the cash value that's going to build on the inside.
Yeah,
Okay, thank you, both of you.
no problem. Yeah, there's a lot of benefits, and I always tell people, like, it's the earlier you get in, the better, because then majority of companies, I know mine, and I with Maurice's, if I'm correct, with getting locked in on things like that, you're if you decide later down the road you want to change your policy, I know with us, you're not going to have to go through a medical again, or if you needed to begin with, it's not like, oh, I have to go through all this all over again. It's just like, oh, well, they're already a client in good standing. Let me, or let's just do this. They'll just push through the change because you've been a client of ours for a while. So it's, I've even told people, a month after you start a policy with me, you decide you want to up it or you want to lower the policy, you can do that. It's the day after you write a policy, you can do that. But that's the good thing, is like, because life changes, maybe you do get married and have some kids and you decide, well, maybe I need a bigger policy and maybe I need to add my husband on, and all these things. Life changes. Life is not stagnant, right? So maybe you buy a house. You want to make sure that if you become an angel, whoever gets, is your beneficiary, can pay off the house. And then that's a inheritance in its own, because then they have a house that's paid off and they don't need to worry about stuff like that. So it's just good things to think about. I'll shut up now.
No, hey, listen, tag team the events, no big deal. It's knowledge from every end.
Yeah. So we're at 11:15 right now. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna share my screen real quick. And so this is where we are gonna go into our free-for-all. So I'm just gonna pop up this slide if it wants to work for me today. Of course, it's gonna do that. I'm just gonna pop this slide up and say thank you for coming. We'll keep on talking through the free-for-all, but just for anybody who's watching the recording, in closing, we would like to take this time to say thank you for taking part in PNN. If you know of any professionals that you think could benefit by joining in with us, please feel free to extend the invitation to them. You can do that right in the actual event itself in QuickBooks. Okay, yeah. Facebook. My brain's starting to non-work already. But everyone is welcome. You don't even have to just be you don't have to be a business owner. You could be in the professional world. I think a lot of things that we discuss, anybody can really benefit from. But we're here every Friday morning at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we hope that we see you guys. Anybody who's watching on the recording, please feel free to come on in. And I hope this gave you a good taste of what it's like to come to a meeting. So thank you guys. And if I could bring up my little recording to stop. Okay.